All right, let's dive into something that's, well, frankly, pretty pressing right now. We've all been seeing the headlines, haven't we? There's this really alarming trend happening, a big surge in cyber attacks, and they're hitting some massive brands. The ones holding a ton of our personal data. We're talking about Hawaiian Airlines back in late June, then Qantas in early July, and even Aflac, the big U.S. insurance provider, reporting potential customer data might have been compromised. It really feels like a cyberstorm isn't just brewing, it's here. So for this deep dive, our mission is, well, to try and cut through some of that noise. We want to understand this escalating cyberstorm, really dig into the challenges around data security, drawing on some expert warnings and insights into these specific big breaches. The goal is simple, for you to walk away feeling like you're really well informed on this because it's critical stuff.
It absolutely is. And what's really striking, I think, is how these recent attacks line up with a public alert from the FBI.
Yeah.
They actually warned that this notorious hacker group, Scattered Spider, they'd expanded their focus, and they were zeroing in specifically on the airline sector. But it's not just aviation networks. This group is exploiting weaknesses across all sorts of industries that have lots of data. It just underscores how sophisticated, how, well, prolific these modern cyber threats are. They're moving way beyond the traditional targets we used to think about. Now it's travel, insurance, Scattered Spider, for instance. They're known for really clever social engineering and exploiting how companies manage who gets access to what. They turn small weaknesses into major breaches.
That really paints a clear picture of the threat landscape. Okay, so if that's the threat, where are the weak points? Where are these big organizations falling short in this digital storm? Our sources seem to point pretty directly at failures in cloud security. Doug Merritt, he's the CEO of Aviatrix, a cloud security company. He actually describes the current situation as treacherous. That's a strong word.
It really is, yeah. And Merritt's key insight, when you zoom out a bit, is that a lot of organizations, they're just failing to adapt their security thinking. They're still treating data moving around in the cloud almost like it's happening inside their own safe, private network, like an old school data center.
Yeah.
But the reality, a huge chunk of that data is actually traveling over the public internet.
Right, so it's like using old maps for new territory.
Exactly. It's a fundamental mismatch. They haven't really re-engineered their security approach for this completely different distributed cloud environment. So those new digital highways, a lot of them are kind of unpoliced. And his warning is pretty stark. He says many firms are leaving 50% to 80% of their systems exposed just by not properly securing how their cloud apps talk to each other or how they exchange data with the outside. That's what he means by cloud workload communications.
50 to 80%. Wow. That's staggering. It makes you wonder, I mean, if it's such a basic problem, why the lag in adapting? So, okay, data isn't just in one central place anymore. It's spread across the cloud. How does that fundamentally change the security game, even for these huge, well-resourced brands?
That's really the crux of it, isn't it? Merritt points to three critical shifts. He calls it the new battlefield for cybersecurity. First, apps and systems. They increasingly rely on the open internet to actually function, to send data back and forth. It's not just internal anymore. Second, that old idea of a security perimeter, like a castle wall around the company. It's basically gone. Now there are thousands of access points thanks to all these cloud services.
Yeah.
Distributed everywhere. And third, this is a big one, cloud platforms that aren't set up right or aren't secured properly. They create these unseen attack surfaces, basically new doors and windows for attackers that the company might not even know exist. He explicitly says blind spots in cloud communication are today's most dangerous weak links.
It sounds like trying to secure a house while new doors keep appearing, and maybe some aren't even locked properly.
That's a pretty good analogy, yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about these huge organizational breaches, this kind of scary new battlefield, but let's bring it down to the individual level. What does this all mean for you, the person listening right now, and your own data? I mean, sure, corporations get hit, but are we just like collateral damage in all this?
Not really, no. And that's a key point. The ripple effect on individuals is significant. Amy Bunn, she's an online safety advocate at McAfee. She points out that even if your data wasn't stolen in, say, the Hawaiian Airlines breach specifically, it doesn't mean you're safe. Your data could still be exposed and used later on.
How does that work?
Well, cybercriminals are, let's say, resourceful. They recycle stolen data all the time. They might sell it on the dark web, that hidden part of the internet where illegal stuff gets traded. Mm-hmm. Or they'll use it themselves to try and impersonate victims, maybe open accounts in your name, things like that. It really highlights why, even if you think you weren't directly affected by this breach, you still need to be vigilant. Maybe your email and an old password from some other breach years ago gets tested against your bank account today. That's how it happens.
Okay, that definitely puts it into perspective. It's not just about hoping your data wasn't in that specific hack. It's ongoing. So, what can you, the listener, actually do? What are the concrete steps to, strengthen your own defenses in this landscape? Bun has some pretty clear advice here.
Yeah, practical stuff.
Right. First, strong, unique passwords for everything. Seriously. No more using the same password everywhere, or password 123. Second, turn on two-factor authentication wherever you can. It's like adding a deadbolt to your digital front door. Third, just be super cautious with emails and texts that look suspicious. If it feels off, it probably is. Don't click, don't reply. That urgent invoice you weren't expecting, probably fake. And finally, maybe use cybersecurity tools, things that can help spot malicious links before you click.
Absolutely. Those are the core individual actions. And, looking a bit broader, this isn't just about individuals or just about companies acting alone, is it? These attacks also really shine a light on how important collaboration is. Public-private partnerships, sharing threat information between companies, government agencies, coordinating the response when a big attack does happen, and just general consumer awareness campaigns, getting the word out. It's all part of building a kind of ecosystem of defense.
Yeah, it takes everyone working together. So when we boil it all down, what's the main takeaway from this deep dive?
For me, it seems clear. This digital battlefield, it's expanding fast.
Mm.
And ignoring these cloud vulnerabilities, that could be genuinely catastrophic. Not just for the big corporations' profits, but really for every single one of us who's connected online. Our digital lives are just so interconnected now, and maybe more vulnerable than we realized.
Exactly. Which leads us, I think, to the final thought for you, our listener. Knowing all this, knowing how linked everything is, how vulnerable our data can be in this new landscape, what steps will you take? Not just to secure your own digital footprint, maybe, but perhaps even to encourage better security practices in the services you use or among people you know. It's something we all need to think about.